Hey guys, welcome back to the Turf Nutrition and Management Podcast. This is myself, Kevin Salters with Douglas Gray. And today we have the infamous Paul Jamison from the Green Industry Podcast. Welcome. How are you today?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Awesome. We are doing good. And it is an honor to have you on here. You started this whole podcast thing, and I listened back in the beginning when you said, I'm just going to do 100 episodes and then look over my shoulder and see what happens. Where are you now from that 100 to where? How many episodes are you at now?
I think I was sending Mr. Producer the episodes for next week, and it was like episode 1129. So 1129.
Wow. So you're on
Wow.
Rogan's heels.
He's in the 2000s. He's making $100 million. I'm
But he
waiting to see where that 100 million's at.
he takes more vacations. So you're gonna catch up to him, but we'll see how
That'd
it goes. So the reason we have you on is I'm excited because in prior businesses that I was in, there wasn't the social media part, there wasn't the Zoom and all this stuff. Everything was in person. And then COVID came along and nobody really could go anywhere and enjoy really the camaraderie of people that are doing the same thing as you and I are doing. And we're going into your Lawn Care Life conference, which you're partnering with. So I'm just going to let you embellish and talk more about that. You're going to know it better, but it does sound like a great event. I signed up as soon as I heard about it, figuring, yes, I can get out of the house and do something. And let's talk about that.
Yeah, it should be a lot warmer in Alabama in February than Connecticut.
A little
We're
bit.
hoping. So in 2020, my buddy Felipe hit me up and he's like, "Hey, you going to Jason Creel's event?" And I wasn't really, I was undecided. I didn't know. And he's like, "Well, if you want to go, we can carpool over there." So he lives here in Atlanta. He actually has a fertilization and weed control business, and he wanted to learn more about fert and squirt from the goats. Alan Hain, the lawn care nut, is the keynote speaker who is just absolute genius when it comes to a blade of grass. I mean, he knows the world really in depth. And so he's like, let's go. So I was like, all right, I didn't really have much expectations or anything, but it's a very short commute. So, 2 hour drive or whatnot
Oh, that's
over
nice.
the state line to Alabama. And so the way Felipe was driving, we might have got there in an hour and a half. I don't know. He's heavy foot there, but
Well, maybe you should hire him for this trip. It'd be easier.
yeah, I'm just going to drive myself because I'm taking a bunch of stuff with me. So I
Got it.
load up the truck. We're doing giveaways and all this stuff, and probably just drive myself. But Felipe, if you're listening, I probably squeeze you in my truck. But anyway, we went out there. We stayed in downtown Birmingham, which I wouldn't suggest. I would have stayed closer to the event. It was probably only 20 miles away, but we stayed where the skyscrapers were, which was unnecessary to park in, and just I'm not a big city life guy. So if you're going this year, I'd stay in Trussville, Alabama. Just there's hotels there in Trussville. So anyway, we go to the event, and it is this family atmosphere. I met Megan and Joey, who I had no idea who they were, but they're up there on stage, like nerding out about numbers. They're like, "Jason, you've had a 2.9% increase in your attendance." And like, they're just talking all this nerdy math. I was like, who are these people? So I met Joey Coberly and his wife, Megan. And I was like, these people like really are obsessed about numbers. And so long story short, shortly after the Lawn Care Life conference, I personally hired them as my bookkeepers. And that was in the winter of 2020. So I guess I've been working with them now for almost 4 years, which has been awesome. So that was one thing that came out of the event. I met my bookkeepers who are A plus rock stars. And then I got to meet Alan Hain. I was starstruck. I was like, he was sitting over in the corner before his speech. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Alan Hain. Like some ways people would geek out about like athletes or whatever. That's how I am about lawn care people. So I'm like, that's Alan Hain. And eventually I talked to him, and he was down to earth and a very, very humble guy. He spoke. The event was great. Jason's family owns 80 acres. So they have a beautiful family property of 80 acres with a few different venues on it, and like parks and like I don't know, gazebos, or I don't even know the names of all these things. But it's like a park
Yep.
in between these buildings. And they have weddings there every Saturday. Well, Jason rents out the venue from his brother-in-law for this Saturday. So if Friday and Saturday we have it rented out. So anyway, the event was awesome. The food was catered by Jason's family, who has a wedding business, so everything was top notch. I just had an unbelievable time. And the takeaways from the event is now I'm personally friends with Alan Hain. I got his phone number. I've gone fishing with him multiple times, I believe. And he's just a great guy. And then I met Megan and Joey. So fast forward the next year, they didn't have the event because of the restrictions on venues and stuff in 2021. 2022, they were moving and life circumstances. They were just like, we're not going to have the event this year. So in 2023, he was going to have the event. And I convinced him not to. I was like, listen, because he asked me, he's like, hey, you got this podcast and everything. Can you help promote it and everything like that? And I was like, sure. But I said, listen, it's too rushed. I was like, I need a full year to properly line everything up. So I basically talked him out of having the show last year, which is technically this year. And I was like, let's do it big in 2024. Let's sell it out. Let's get real good sponsors. Let's make it a conference, an A+ conference. And so he's like, all right. So he brought me on board as kind of the promoter and whatnot for this year's event. We got an all-star lineup. Alan Hain, the Lawncare Nut's going to come back and speak again. He's going to talk about robotics, autonomous mowers, battery-powered equipment, all these like things that are taking over our industry. He's going to give his candid, honest opinion on, and he's very honest. So he's going to speak the truth about all of the craze of what's going on with the manufacturers spending all this money on battery powered and autonomous and robotic and all that stuff. Caleb Allman's going to be there teaching on how to get out of the field and work on your business, like Michael Gerber says, not in your business. So he's had employees for over 20 years in his business, like the same guy. So he's going to teach how he's able to have his business run without him. And then Naylor Taliaferro is going to be there speaking on route density. Naylor's got pretty much all of his yards in a subdivision. So he's going to teach about how he's accomplished that. Megan and Joey are going to be there. John Pajak, myself, Jeremiah Jennings, Jason, a lot of folks are going to be there. So it's going to be an awesome event. And it's all meals are included. So we're going to have a dinner on welcome reception on Friday night. I believe we're going to have some live music there kind of playing in the background. Low expectations. Jason's like, hey, my friend's in a band and he wants to come play. I was like, all right, let's go. So I don't know if they'll be playing Sweet Home Alabama or
which is okay.
That's all right.
We
That's
have
a good song.
band. Yeah, Friday night we'll have a live band. And we'll have, obviously catered dinner and there'll be more of a time of just hanging out, instead of like a wedding, we're just going to be hanging out, talking shop. I think Alan's going to give a speech that night and they'll have drinks and whatnot, and dinner and all that Friday night. Then Saturday morning we'll have breakfast, lunch catered, and then everyone will be speaking throughout the day. It is 80 acres, so the sponsors will be there. I know Ferris is bringing a whole bunch of equipment, and we'll have all kind of power equipment, mowers, tools, all kind of stuff there that you can test and drive and talk to the sales reps and all that will be there out on the 80 acres, and should be awesome time. So typically weather in Alabama in late February is 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So you probably want to bring a light jacket, but for all of our friends coming up north, there won't be any snow, and it should be substantially warmer than up north. Now if you're coming from Florida, then it might be a little cooler, but I don't
know. They've had some crazy weather. My family lives there, and they've hit me with some temperatures that have shocked me. It's like crazy.
What is the dates of this thing again?
Friday, February 23rd in the evening, and then all day Saturday, February 24th. All day, Saturday.
To the 25th, 23rd to the 25th.
No, 23rd is Friday, 24th is Saturday, but we don't have anything scheduled on Sunday.
Travel day on Sunday.
yeah. Travel day, but no itinerary for Sunday.
Gotcha.
So I know you said there is a 300 seat limit, and that is for all kinds of purposes. One, that's what the venue can handle, fire marshal, all that stuff, which is great. You said seats are selling well, and they should be, because the price is ridiculous. I mean, if you really think about it, how can you not spend that kind of money to get a couple meals and some good entertainment?
Yeah, and if you're listening to this before December 31st, 2023, Jason's got the ticket for only $197. Now, when he brought me on to promote the event, I told him, I said, Jason, this is like a 997 event,
Yeah.
97. He's like, no, let's just do it for a couple $100. And he doesn't want anybody not to come because they can't afford it. And so I tried to explain to him, I went to an event in Texas. It was good. But it was over $1,000 just to register. It was a YouTube conference. So they taught you how to have a YouTube channel or whatever. And I was like, your event's better than this event. And they charge over over $1,000. That was just registration. And they charge you $50 for the ghetto lunch. They gave you a little sandwich and bag of chips, $50. Because
Nice.
when I registered
chicken fingers and French fries.
No, it wasn't chicken fingers. It was like a little ham sandwich and then a little bag of chips for $50.
Wow, that's even worse.
Because they said, do you want to buy the pre-meal like ticket or whatever? And it was $50 extra add-on. So I added it on and I never even ate it because I was like, are you kidding me? $50 for that. And I ended up going and getting pizza with my buddies and buying lunch anyway.
So this event is really going to be just great speakers, but there's going to be ample time to actually network, which I think is what I always got away from all the events, Grow and Bob Haluch used to go to a bunch of them across the country. And it was really a lot of the good information was made after or before the seminars.
100%. And we scheduled in a lot of time for the networking. So obviously Friday night's more of a networking event. I believe Alan will give some kind of speech, for a half hour, whatever he wants to do Friday night. But it'll be more so just eating and talking and hanging out all night in the venue, which is really, ideally set up for that. A lot of times when you go out to these events that are on other people's venues, they got loud music and it's just, it's hard to talk. Like, so this is a calm setting where weddings at and we can just talk all night, hang out, podcast, do whatever. And
plus
then
he's Southern and everything just slows down and it really can be appreciative compared to the, like you said, stepping away from the business and the city life of that hustle, bustle. And I guarantee he's just going to be laid back and it's just going to be very, very low key, but exciting at the same time.
Yeah, very, very low key. That's a good description of Jason in Springville, Alabama. And then Friday night, get a hotel in Trussville, Alabama. You could stay in Birmingham. I did do that, but it's unnecessary to stay where the skyscrapers are.
Yeah.
Trussville, Alabama is where Jeremiah Jennings and Jason's homes are. The venue Matthews Manor is in Springville, Alabama. So there's it's a middle of the farm. So there's no hotels in Springville. As you'll see, the 80 acres, you're just driving down farm country, and then it's like, oh, there's Matthews Manor. So
perfect. Feels like home.
Yeah, nothing around there to stay. Trussville, maybe like a 12-minute drive, and that's where the hotels are. And then Saturday morning, we're gonna have breakfast. Jason says he's gonna have a slice of bacon for you. I don't know if he's being sarcastic or if he only bought 300 pieces of bacon, but he's gonna make breakfast, and then and his wife and his kids, and it's a whole family. You'll see Jason's wife and kids cooking the meals and bringing it out. It's a family atmosphere. And then we'll have speeches in the morning and then breaks and ride and drive times and all kind of opportunities to network on Saturday. And then, like I said, when I went, I didn't really have any expectations. I was like, yeah, might as well, and I wanted to hang out with Felipe. And then I ended up meeting Megan and Joey Coberly, and they've helped me earn so much money in my business by knowing my numbers better. So you never know if you show up, what connection you can make or what nugget you could learn from these dynamic speakers. And it's a great way kind of to kick off the season. I know most people start in March and you kind of come in February and get all fired up being around 300 other business owners. Pretty much everybody there either owns a lawn care business with fertilization and weed control or lawn mowing business or landscaping business in the case of almonds, but pretty much everybody there is going to own a business of some sorts in the lawn care space. So
this is called the Lawncare Life Conference. This is the 2024, which is in Springville, Alabama, which again, I purchased my ticket early on just because I wanted to start getting to some events. And I have a little travel restriction. I would be going to more of them, but got a little procedure. Being an old man, I got a new hips going in for Christmas. So yeah, whatever. I won't be on an airplane for a little bit. So this is kind of the first time the doctor will give me clearance to go and play, which is awesome. So just get back to you, Paul, real quick with the Green Industry Podcast. Let's talk quickly, and I'm sure you're going to be bringing some of this to the conference itself. But John Pajak's going to be there, which is your buddy and the master of numbers, and you have your program Know Your Numbers, which I purchased a year or so ago and have gone through, and this winter start playing with again. Why don't you explain a little bit of that and where all these things are available? Because you have your price increase letter. Is it 5 books now, or 4 and 5 just released?
4 books. The newest one is called The Lawncare Advantage. That book is available on Amazon, as well as the other books. Cut That Grass and Make That Cash is more of my story.
Got it.
How I got started, and that book's on Amazon as well. Pajak was really hammering me, and it's probably 2014, 15, so somewhere around there. And he could tell that I didn't know my numbers, so he kept saying, why don't we hop on a call, which was 3 or 4 hours, and he just went through every line item that I had on my checking accounts from the previous year, and basically found out all the money that I was spending, and then broke it down with how many hours I was spending in the field servicing my customers, and how many crew. I had 3 people working at the time, a three-person crew. And he basically narrowed it all down. He's like, you need to be earning, X amount per hour to pay yourself this salary at that rate. And it was like way off of what I was actually earning. And I was like, oh my gosh. But what happened after that is then I got it together, and I'm like, I got more efficient. I raised my prices, and that conversation with him really gave me the kick in the butt that I needed. And he kind of packaged that afterwards. It's called budgets, break evens, and bottom lines. Now I kind of got grandfathered into his, he was just figuring it out when I talked to him, but now he's got a really sophisticated program, but not everybody has 4 hours to go through it with him and everything like that. So we kind of put a program together that's a lot easier to digest on demand on your time schedule, called Know Your Numbers. And we've updated it since you got it a year and a half ago. We recently kind of updated it, but he basically just shared how you calculate your break-even rate, how you figure out how to price jobs that are irregular, like a mulch installation and things like that, and really just kind of teaches it so a 5th grader could understand it. And it's called Know Your Numbers. And John's got a heart of a teacher. He's got the certifications too from Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey certified financial coach and all that. But he's very passionate about knowing your numbers, helping others know your numbers. So I was a recipient of that personally years ago, and we've offered that to the public on greenindustrypodcast.com, the Know Your Numbers e-training course. And then the price increase letter. I used to talk about in my podcast in 2018 how you guys got to raise your price every spring. Like, it was common sense to me, but guys would be like, well, how do I do it? And I was like, well, just tell your customer you got to absorb all your costs, and your costs are going up, and you need to absorb that. So you're going to pass it on to them. And they're like, well, I don't know how to say that. I was like, I just told you. And then they're like, well, can you send it to me? So I sent it out to a few guys for free back in the day. I'm like, well, here's what I say. And I just sent them the script, and they're like, dude, it worked. And I was like, yeah. And so eventually so many people started asking me like, hey, and so I was like, all right, well, I just made it available. I think it was $20 originally. Now it's $49, but I just gave my letter, like literal letter that was on my desktop computer that I sent out to my customers. I was like, here's what you say. And it's straightforward. It's simple. It's not sophisticated. It's just all these expenses to run my business are going up. I got to absorb all that to provide you the high quality service that you expect. In order to do that, I have to raise my prices. Here's your new price for the year. And it's as simple as that. And it's, it's written a little bit more business words, and then you send it out. And the testimonies we've gotten, I mean, we've had hundreds of those go out, hundreds of business owners send it out. I can't even imagine how much money it's actually generated. It's probably impossible to track, but that letter's made millions of revenue, additional revenue, because people raise their prices incrementally. So yeah, that's our most famous resource that's transformed the most people's lives, called the price increase letter. And you don't need to get my price increase letter. You just tell your customers you're raising your price. There's nothing nothing magical about it. But if people are like, I don't know what to say, we can help you with that. But you should raise your price every spring, every year.
But
I think
as you know, well, go ahead, Doug, you first.
I think it's something that a lot are afraid to do. They're afraid to lose a few customers. But at the end of the day, let's, rewind to 2019 when COVID happened and what transpired for 2.5 to 3 years with product costs going through the roof. And we were not, even in the ball game of pricing until maybe right now. And now I hear people want to drop their prices again because product costs have gone down. And it's like, okay, well, what if something like this happens in the near future again? There's a lot of things that are going to happen in 2024. Your insurance costs are going to go up. I hope everyone's factoring that because insurance costs, there's insurance companies pulling out of states. They got to make that money back up. And the only way to do that is to raise cost. And I just have found it funny that I hear a lot of it, that people are lowering prices again right now. And I just think that's your raise for this year, and I agree with what you said. Prices should go up every year. Pay yourself, give yourself a raise every year.
Yeah, and train your customers that your prices raise every year. I've been using QuickBooks Online since I started my business, and I think I had some special. It was like $30 a month, and then it went to $35 a month, then 40, then 45, then 50, then 55, then 60. They ain't never lowered it, and now I literally pay $60 a month for QuickBooks Online, which is double what I used to pay. It's double, but they didn't just go, hey, you're at $30 a month. Now it's $60 a month. But that's what happened. But it was gradual over time. And I noticed it because I pay attention. But like if your lawn customer is $40 per mow, then your next year should be 42 or 43. Then the next year, 45 or 46. And the next year, 47 or 49, and then over 4 years, you went from 40 to 50, but they really didn't notice it. And if you're doing a good job, they don't want the hassle of going to hire somebody else if you're reliable. Now, if you're not doing great work, then you have something to worry about. But if you're knocking their socks off with how good you are, they're not going to want to go hire someone new. They're going to want to just pay you extra few bucks.
I've heard this going around a lot lately. I guess it's probably gentlemen or ladies who promote quality and they want to be paid. You're not paying me for my time. You're paying me for my expertise. And there are a lot of us in this industry are very good at what we do. And we tend to fall down to what some of our competitors are doing just to keep business. And it ends up backfiring on. And, not every customer is meant for you. And I've always said that. You're not going to sell every customer. So why not I'm not saying you have to be the highest guy in your neighborhood, but don't be the cheapest guy because you probably won't be in business too long if you are.
Well, Paul, with that said, I know we're taking up some of your time, but
Doug, maybe we need to get you to speak at the event.
Love to do it.
One thing we like to do, Paul, is talk, unfortunately. We can just talk and talk and talk. And we come from the school of hard knocks where we've just made all the mistakes. We're not the smartest guys in the room, but we've made some expensive mistakes that we'd like to help people not make so that they can be further ahead than where we are at our age. And, the cool thing about it is, and we say this all the time on our podcast, is this young generation that's coming through and working, when our ancestors came over to this country, our country was built on their backs of their calluses and their work ethic. We lost that for a while, but it seems like it's coming back. And it's our younger generation and these entrepreneurs that are actually going to probably help pull this country up by the bootstraps and get it to where it needs to be. So like as you're doing and like we like to do is if we can help them out as as much as we can from our mistakes of going through those hard times, we're more than happy to do that.
Yep.
So in wrapping this up, the Green Industry Podcast, that's all online. And the cool thing about it is you type that into your browser and you can get everything you need from Paul there. You can get the price increase. You can buy his books there, the Know Your Numbers course. You have a couple other courses in there as well. You can reach out. All the social media links are there. Also in there itself, and it's easy enough to do if you can just take a look at this Lawncare Life 2024 beautiful website that you've put together there. There's going to be some great speakers, people that we listen to out on the turf all the time and podcasts. It'd be great to meet. as well as many of other people. We have a couple of our listeners. I know one gentleman's coming from Kansas. Way up in
Awesome.
Kansas to it. Yeah. So we already have some guys from us preaching it and talking about it that are going. So it'd be cool for us because we're going to get to meet them as well as you guys. But in closing, anything else you want to say? But we just want to say thank you and appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy and you've got probably 20 other podcasts to do today.
Yeah, and all the speakers are going to be there the whole time hanging out. So if you want to talk about nitrogen with Alan Hain, he'll be there. You can talk whatever you want to talk about with him. Caleb and his wife Brittany are going to be there, and Naylor Taliaferro and Jeremiah Jennings, John Pajak, myself, and so many others. And so we're just going to be hanging out, all Friday evening, all day Saturday, and it's just a great time to network and get away from your city, get refreshed, being around a bunch of others who are trying to have profitable, successful lives, and you'll leave fired up and ready to crush it in the spring. So I would want to emphasize though, once it hits that 300 capacity, the last thing we want to do is have everyone fly into town and then the fire marshal's like, all right, we're shutting it down. So there is no wiggle room on the size of the room. So if you're going to go, get your ticket today. The last thing we want to do is when it's sold out, it's sold out. So
it's kind of like you with the what are they calling now? The GIE is now the
Equip.
Yes, sir. Buy that ticket early because it's so inexpensive. Well, if you buy this for $200 for early bird and something comes up, it's not the end of the world. It really isn't. You made a nice donation to a well-run facility that's going to help other people learn. So,
I'm sure if you had some emergency, just email Jason. I'm sure he'll give you a refund. It's not a not a big deal.
I just see it as a very inexpensive investment on what we can all learn from it. So, we will have everything in our podcast notes so we can tag you and everything, get some more feeds over to there. I look forward to meeting you in person. I know we've talked on air before, and Megan and Joey as well. That's going to be, I get to talk to her tomorrow, so I get to talk to the A team on the numbers. And
how did you get a meeting with her? She emailed me. I'm not taking meetings till February. I tried to meet
it's my normal monthly. It's
okay.
We have to wrap up our year. Yeah,
I got you. Maybe already email her again. I got an email from her saying we can schedule something in February. I was like, what?
It's funny. Just real quick in closing, I logged into my QuickBooks today for the first time. I don't know my password anymore. I don't even look at it. I have so much trust in them. No, really. They are my A team between Joey and Megan and Sheila Chaplin. I have full confidence in what they're doing. And I actually had to go back to my password thingamajigger and find it to log in just to check.
And do you feel like you have more control of the finances now that they kind of are guiding you?
So 100%. So in my case, I was part of a $6 million landscaping company that had a board that I would be in front of and would get answers from a CFO, CEO, all those guys, and all that numbers and information would come and we'd have wonderful meetings of sounding boards. I don't make any decisions in business without talking to the three of them. That is purchasing new equipment, which we just did with Doug, and the expansion of this and all different things. So they're my sounding board. And it's even better when you get the Megan, Joey, and Sheila together, which you get every quarter, and they review everything. And that's when you really bring the dirt to them and they can help you decipher, what you're going to do for your retirement this year. What are you going to put into this investment and that? As a small business owner, you don't have that resources normally. You're great at what you do out on the field, but you're in the numbers and the books may not be your specialty. So they just literally take it off to the next level. And I have total confidence in what they're doing for me.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. Great. All right, Paul, thank you again for your time. We appreciate it. We'll get this out on the air as quick as we can, probably be out next week. Get those seats filled up and we look forward to seeing you in February.
Cool. See y'all in Alabama.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Take care.